As you watch the documentary film, one of the questions in your first viewing question is number 3, and it asks you to think about and to identify what tools or what kind of tricks or techniques are used to convince you of the position. And you can they will look for ways of kind of pulling to your logic, use pictures, sound, score, so many things. And so you are going to be looking for those as you watch the film. Why is persuasion even important? Well, we all have an opinion, and a filmmaker might want to make a statement, either environmental, political, or something that they just want to make known because they're passionate about it. Perhaps they want to just get people to think and to have a thought or maybe bring up awareness to it. And sometimes there's just a discussion, getting people to talk about that topic. And it also could be because an individual might want others to join in their movement or become advocates. One way that is used is that numbers and data. If you see numbers, if someone refers to a number, they show a graph, a chart, something, it appears to be legitimate. Now, you need to be very careful because just because it's there doesn't mean that it's valid, but it is pretty powerful when you find out the large number of individuals that are agreeing with that film director. Pictures, videos, photographs are often used. You can have an image of, well, I'll show you an image in a second. Videos could be a short clip, and here I just have a quick picture of climate change. So this is using also some numbers, so there's some data or statistics that are also added, and then there are some points in terms of outcome. So that's a pretty powerful image for um, encouraging people to become aware. Sometimes it is necessary to tell a story of where the beginning point was and how it's progressed. So this would be a historical context or archival footage. And one of the films that I used to use was um, Blackfish, and it was pretty popular. And it tells the story about orcas in SeaWorld. And here you have on the far left in the 60s when it first opened, and you might want to the filmmaker might want to show how SeaWorld has changed over time, and so show little snippets of the story. And you could see how things got better or how things worsened. That would be if things haven't changed. So that is one way to kind of underscore the significance of the issue and persuade the audience why it's important. Emotional storytelling, and again, this shows pictures, so these have multiple examples, but here you have different ways of identifying a uh, emotional, it can evoke something emotional. So here, is there a central character that draws you in? Do you have curiosity? When you have those pictures of starving children, that's a different emotion that comes up compared to maybe your neighborhood child who doesn't have breakfast at school. Either way, there is an empathy or emotional component that those pictures can evoke in a person or the viewer. Interviews and personal testimonies, like firsthand accounts, someone who's been involved in that issue. They can provide a human perspective, and they can make the commentary more relatable and persuasive. So firsthand accounts, I was there when, people that survived, or and how it's impacted them. So there's three different ways that you can use interviews, and we see this on the news all the time when somebody says, it's a tragedy, and they go right up to the door and they put the microphone in their face, and they think that that person is going to be able to give them some sort of emotional testimony. That is an interview and personal testimonies. It's trying to get yourself engaged with that story. Expert testimony by in documentaries often will lend credence. It could be an expert, a scholar, an activist, someone with firsthand knowledge of the subject matter that can lead or lend credibility to the commentary. So it can provide context, analysis, arguments to support the film's message. And we also have to make sure that we are looking at who the expert is, and are they an expert in their field, or are they an expert in their own mind in the field? So we also want to be very mindful of who the expert is, and do they have a bias of some sort. The choice of music or the soundtrack itself can really influence the tone. If you look at if you've ever seen the movie Jaws, and you know what that theme song sounds like, it gives you this already this sense of impending doom that the shark is coming on you. What emotion does that evoke? People were afraid to go in the ocean after Jaws. They were just, and the music really supported that. Or I'm a fan of Lord of the Rings. You can have different types of music that is either happy and gleeful, and that will represent kind of the Shire when they're home and everything's great. Or you have the music that is intense and has the background with the humming and the sounding, which gives you a whole different feel of what is occurring in that at that time. When the narrator or the voiceover is done well, you will definitely get some impact on how the information is interpreted. Now, David Attenborough is an individual who has been a naturalist for his whole entire life, and he narrates a lot of the nature shows. So, coming from a life of being a naturalist, he lends a lot of or credence to what that film is trying to elicit or evoke in you. Sometimes the narration can be kind of silly. This is Benjamin, if you want to look it up, Benjamin Cumberbatch, and he can't pronounce the word penguin. And so he says it about 4 different times, which gives you sort of a little laugh as you're watching it. Expertly framed interviews, the example that I thought of was a way that you can draw out an individual's responses that support your viewpoint. Um, Making this could be the kind of questions that that are asked, presenting the interview or the evidence during the interview to kind of get some response. And I thought this was a good example as well. Is the person in a comfortable place? So Eminem is very comfortable in the recording studio. So they would interview him. E- um, they would perform the interview in a place where he felt really comfortable, which is another way of expertly framing. The perspective of the filmmaker, sometimes you have from the personal journey as part of the narrative, and you can have a how the camera, it's using the camera, how it's filmed, if it's kind of just neutral, or if you use different angles where the camera is placed, that can give you a different feel of what the filmmaker is trying to do. Sometimes a documentary will advocate a particular viewpoint, and others might give you both sides. They might give you the alternate perspective to acknowledge that it's not an easy question to answer, and here are the two sides. That allows you to have that kind of internal debate that will help you to think more about the question and perhaps come to the filmmaker's side, or maybe be a little skeptical of it. And finally, there are more. Finally, is depending on the type of documentary, they can use this is mostly a social or political documentary. They can have a call to action, encouraging viewers to get involved, support the cause, subscribe, learn more, visit my website. Here are some more videos. It gives specific steps for the individual to address the issue. And this is really helps a person to guide them for a clear path on their newfound understanding or conviction. So that's just a brief look at different ways. And so as you view your documentary or film, see if you can notice any of those persuasion techniques.